Home sellers. If broker open houses actually sold homes, every house in Ohio would sell around noon on Tuesday. But they don't. We've sold over 2,500 homes, about 50 times more than the average realtor. And today, I'm going to walk you through what a broker open house really is, why agents seem to love them, and why sellers think they need them. This is how we do it. So stick around. I'll show you when broker open houses actually help and when they're a waste of everyone's time. All right, here we go. Welcome to Talking Realty, the podcast for home sellers who want to make more money, save time, and avoid headaches. I'm Glen, realtor and founder of the Ohio Property Group, where we do the same things as traditional realtors, but instead of charging 6%, we charge a low, flat fee. So you keep a lot more money and you still get better results. Check out the free seller tools at talkingrealty.com. And if you love the show, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get to it. Home sellers, as you know, we list a fair number of properties every week. And still, I get this question a lot. Hey, can we have a broker open house? We need to have a broker open house. When are we going to have the broker open house? Et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought I would take a little bit of time to share with you kind of my thoughts on this because I have this conversation regularly and figured other people might want to know about it. So the problem is we've got sellers who have been conditioned over the years to want a broker open house. You've got a lot of brokers who have been conditioned that new listings that meet certain criteria should have a broker open house. And then even some sellers who feel a little bit uneasy, like, why aren't we having it? Why haven't we scheduled it yet? So the big question is, well, did anyone ever stop to question whether or not they work? So that's what I want to attack today. And hopefully I'll present you both sides fairly on why you should or shouldn't consider having a broker open house and really how they kind of came about and why they exist in the first place. But some sellers still feel like they need a broker open house to get agents in the door and talk the house up. That sounds logical. And honestly, 30 years ago, probably might have been true. I don't know. But in today's online first process, broker open houses are probably more about the appearance of activity than actual results. So, first of all, what is a broker open house? For those of you who are uninitiated, a broker open house is exactly what it sounds like. It's an open house at the property, but it's not for buyers. It's not open to the public. It is only open to local agents and brokers. So it's supposed to be this sort of wine and cheese affair where you open the house up and other agents come by ostensibly to preview it for any potential buyers. It's usually in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. That's why I said Tuesday at noon. That's almost always when they are. Every market we're in, and since I cover the entire state of Ohio, people feel compelled to email me as a fellow broker every time they set one of these things up. So we have a garbage pile collection of emails telling me about the broker open at their newest listing. But anyway, they're typically pretty short, 30 to 60 minutes. Maybe I've seen a couple that go 90 or 2 hours, which I think is just like purgatory. But anyway, they're pretty casual and they're often very, very, very poorly attended. But the bottom line is they almost never contribute to the sale of a property. And the thing is, broker open houses, it's really more of an agent convenience tool. At least that's how it was originally set up. It's not really a buyer demand solution, in my opinion. But if a broker wants to look busy, this is a great option. If they want to network with other agents and brokers in the area, great idea. If they just want to socialize and get some, free cheese and crackers, this is a great way to do it. Maybe they want to stay visible, stay relevant. Like, oh, she's at, or he is at every open house, every broker open. This person is there. They must be a leader. They must be this, that, or the other. The trouble is there's no clients at these, so I don't know who you're marketing to. It's also a great way to get out of the office. So if you're an agent who works in an office, unlike Glen here, perfect excuse to go blow an afternoon if that's what you want to do with your time. But very, very, very occasionally, an agent will come there and actually preview this listing for a potential pool of buyers. Now, this is the main hook. This is why everybody says you need it. But that last point, it's definitely real. It does matter. It's just extremely rare. And speaking of rare, the use cases for an open house, I'm not going to tell you that a broker open should never be done. I think that that would be a little high-handed on my part. If you've never had one offered on your property if you've listed before, or if you're on the market now and no one ever said anything to you about it, don't worry, you're not missing out. But there are a handful of places where it might make sense to have a broker open house. And I would tell you that in almost all cases, I would use it in the pre-launch phase. I would not do this after the property hits the market, at least not more than a day or so. So if you're going to launch on a Tuesday or Wednesday and you want to kick it off with a broker open house, that's certainly an option. I would rather see you launch on a Friday or Saturday and kick it off with a public open house that is very well advertised, maybe with a coming soon. It's part of our buyer feeding frenzy playbook. Topic for another day. But anyway, if you've got a really weird property, it's unique in the actual sense that it's different from everything else around it. I don't mean unique because it has tan shutters instead of taupe shutters. The definition of unique has sort of wandered off over the years. But anyhow, if you have a property that is truly unlike anything around it, I can only think of one or two in my entire history. We're talking thousands of listings. I can only think of one or two that would fit that category. If it's truly high end, multi-million dollar property, especially if it's in a pocket of homes that are not multi-million dollar properties, that would make it unique and high end. So we had a listing a few years ago that was sold to a celebrity, which is another use case. If you've got a celebrity home or something that's got a ton of cachet, it's architecturally distinct. If you're putting a Frank Lloyd Wright house on the market for the first time in 40 years or something like that, this would be a great use case for it. But we had this property that ended up selling to a celebrity, and the property not only was brand new, which was unusual because the entire neighborhood was probably 30 years old, but the owner had locked up this lot decades earlier. Somebody had, and never built on it. And then eventually circled back and through a whole series of circumstances decided to build a house. Well, they didn't just build a house, they built something that was unlike anything probably in the entire county. It was an extreme European design with very modern features. And we're talking the glass walls that are retractable. I'm not a design guy, as you can tell by me fumbling around with this, but I'm here to tell you it was truly a unique property. That's maybe a case because in this case, I can have the experts in the building to explain all the features because it's not something most realtors see every day. So there's a case where we could maybe jumpstart some buzz. If you have a property that has severely limited showing availability, could be a good time to maybe pop the lid on a broker open house before you go live so that the local agents, but you would have to drum this up hard and you'd probably have to give away an iPad or something to get everybody there to make it effective. Because as I mentioned in the earlier portion, these are typically very poorly attended. So you go to all this work and you set up all this stuff and you get ready and then wah wah wah, nothing happens. Two people show up who have nothing better to do. But anyhow, if you've got a property that is also that may be hard to understand from the photos and description. So I'm trying to think of a great example of this. I don't really have one for you, but I think if you're in that situation, you know what I mean. Now, every seller on some level feels like the photos don't do it justice or the 3,000 word description that you wrote isn't enough. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for whatever reason, there are things about that property that just can't be captured in photo or words and must be experienced firsthand. Again, these situations are exceptionally rare. The last one I could think of would be if you're relaunching a property, maybe it went under contract and then as a result of inspections or something like that, you ended up doing a lot of work to this property, big changes on the inside, something different from the truly different from the first time it was on the market. If you're going to do that, or if you're going to do a major price drop and you expect you're going to be rolling into a bidding war, this might be a good way to tease it out. So please do not expect great things from this. If you're going to do it, first of all, I just probably wouldn't if I was on the fence. And then second of all, if I was going to do it, man, you better do it right. You better maybe throw this like a party planner would do it. So look, these events, these broker open houses almost never create buyers. I would love to say never, but I can't say that. I don't have any personal examples of when it worked, but I'm sure somebody out there does. So rather than start a holy war over this, I will just say that I don't think they very often create buyers, but they can create agent buzz if you do it correctly. That could be useful if you're headed for a bidding war. And that's it. That's the entire sum total of the upside. Hey, folks, almost every seller I know has at least a few questions about the process, which is why we offer a totally free, no obligation, one-on-one strategy call for anyone with a property to sell in Ohio. On that call, we're going to help you plan your listing launch. We're going to nail down your price. We're going to make sure you're ready for offers and inspections and appraisals, and hopefully help you get a bidding war off the ground. Check the show notes, the YouTube comments, or just head over to talkingrealty.com and book your free call right now. Seriously, hit pause, go do it now, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's get you on the right track. All right, back to the show. I know all of this sounds like, well, what's the problem, Glenn? I'm going to put this thing out there, and then, if nobody shows up, nobody shows up. At least, you miss 100% of the shots you never take, right, Wayne Gretzky? Okay, I hear you. But it's not as if holding the broker open house is just going to sit there and be either maybe a little bit of positive or neutral. There's a downside to these. And here it comes. The biggest problem with broker open houses and agent only open houses is agent feedback. It's usually, what's the proper way to say BS? BS. I think BS is the proper way to say BS. It's almost all BS. And here is why. Is broker feedback and agent feedback, I use those words interchangeably, but if you're going to have agents come out and preview the home, they're going to feel compelled to tell you what they think. And you may sitting here, well, that's a great idea. Get this free advice. Okay, stop. Agents are on the spot in that situation. They know you're expecting something. And there are two types of agents out there. There's the one who is just all hearts and flowers. They're going to tell you everything's great. Oh, this is fantastic. The price is great. And then you got the other one who's the vinegar and salt person who is nothing is ever good enough. And because you didn't list with them, now they really are going to unload on you. Well, oh my gosh, you should have done this. You should have done this. You should have done this. And oh, the price. And oh my gosh, the timing. And oh, can't believe the photography, whatever. No matter what you have, they're going to dump on it. All right. So I've got these two extremes, and neither of them are useful. They feel compelled and on the spot to give you some sort of take on your property. They feel pressured, and because they're surrounded by one, maybe two of their fellow agents, i.e., their competitors, even if they work as a team, even if they work in the same office, they're competitors. Okay. Having worked on a team inside an office, it was straight up eat what you kill. It was, Lord of the Flies type situation. Maybe not as bad, but it wasn't fun, and they weren't my friends. So anyway, they want to sound smart. They want to sound like they have something to contribute to this, and they're going to draw on their vast knowledge. And you've heard me say before, the average realtor does between 0 and 2 deals a year. So I don't know how much vast knowledge they have, but they still feel compelled to spit it out. They don't have buyer, they don't have a lot of experience, so they're just making stuff up on the spot to make sure that they've paid for all their crackers that they ate. In my opinion, actually, let me borrow an opinion. My old business coach, Dan Sullivan, you can look him up online. He's a very, very smart guy. He says the only opinion that matters is the one writing the check. That's it. The only opinion that matters is the one writing the check. So in this case, unless one of those agents is actually buying your property, their opinion don't matter. It's just an opinion. It's just one of 1,000 different opinions I could get you. We just did an episode on how sellers are misled by actual buyer feedback. Broker feedback, agent feedback is even less reliable. So bad or misleading feedback, it doesn't just fail to help you. It actively slows down the process. It gets in your head and it lives there rent free and causes some sellers to make very poor decisions, either toward inaction. Oh, your price is fine. Everything's great. Why isn't it selling? Okay. So obviously not everything's great. Or you need to do this, 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 and this. And all of a sudden they're taking it off the market and remodeling this place. Okay. We don't want those. We don't want muddied up seller decisions based on very unreliable feedback. Home sellers, this episode of Talking Realty is brought to you by our friends at Associates Title. This team is shaking things up by focusing on what truly matters, putting you, the customer, first. Whether you're buying or selling or investing, whether you're for sale by owner, whether you're working with a realtor, doesn't matter. They've got your back with incredible cost savings and the latest technology to streamline the process. Their secure online portal keeps everyone in the loop, from buyers and sellers to lenders to agents, all while keeping your data safe and communication crystal clear. If you're getting ready to make a move, don't underestimate the importance of having a great title company in your corner. Check them out today at associatestitleinc.com or call my friend Ryan Phillips at 614-419-2418. Remember, they're not just in Ohio, they're in a lot of states. So give them a call, but do not leave your title company choice to chance. And definitely don't let the buyer or their agent make that choice for you. All right, back to the show. Now, there is a solution here. I've got my use cases I mentioned earlier, and most of my sellers are hands-on. But if you have a local agent or a local broker enlisted in your, you're working with them, you've signed a listing agreement. If they want to host the open house, I say let them. I say let them do it. It's their time, and it shows that they're doing something. This is what a lot of agents do. It's one of the earlier reasons why they host them, is because they want to look busy. Same reason any agent hosts an open house, is to gather buyers and look busy and show the seller, hey, I'm doing something. Well, in this case, they can't gather buyers because the only people attending are their competitors, other agents and realtors in town. So if they want to host it and they want to sit through this thing and they want to provide all the snacks and drinks and all that good stuff, I say let them do it. I mean, the fact is, there's no such thing as overexposing your property, so there's no downside there. All I'm going to tell you is two rules. Number one, don't be there. If this is your house, you need to be miles away. Okay, go watch a movie, go get ice cream, go take somebody you like out to the zoo, whatever it is you want to do with your time, but do not be there. Don't even be near there. And then secondly, I want you to ignore everything your broker tells you unless they say, we got an offer. Okay, that you can pay attention to, because that's the person writing the check. Their opinion matters. Okay, so if you can agree, your broker hosts it, you got no skin in this, all right? The only thing you have to do is stay away. And you do stay away, and then you ignore all the free advice you got, then go ahead and let it happen. So if the broker and agent isn't there to shield you, don't do it. It's not worth whatever tiny gain you may or may not get from it. It's just not worth it. Because some agents will see an opportunity to talk to you, the seller. By the way, somebody that didn't choose them as their listing agent, they may see this as open season on how they can just tell you how everything you're doing is wrong, including not hiring them. So when my sellers, the few that I've ever allowed to host a broker open, host them, they get a ton of condescension. They get a bunch of undermining. We call it sign chasing here, where they're illegally, by the way, and unethically out trying to convince a seller who's listed with one broker to switch, to cancel their agreement and come with them. Okay, you should just disqualify them on the spot. The minute a realtor breaks the law or violates our very well publicized canons of ethics, you should just disqualify them. Because if they will screw you over trying to get the listing, what do you think they're going to try to do to get you to accept a deal that maybe you shouldn't accept? Anyway, a lot of fear-based stuff is going to show up during this open house, this broker open house. So I would say avoid it. But even one loud, confident idiot can do real psychological damage given the right circumstances and the right seller who's just on the fence about something. So if you go down this road, I want you to bring a truckload of salt to take with all that free feedback that you're getting. But in my opinion, if it's not your broker and you're not miles away and you're not ignoring everything that happens there other than an offer, the potential harm probably outweighs any little tiny upside that you might get from self-hosting your own broker open house. So as I said in the opening, if broker open houses were so stinking effective, everybody would have them and every house would be gone by the middle of the week, because that's how it's done, right? Well, the fact that that's not how it is, broker open houses are almost non-existent in most markets anymore. I'm sure somebody will argue with me on that, but believe me, I see a lot more than most agents. So I'm here to tell you these things are dying the slow and painful death that they deserve. So good for that. But what actually sells a home is incredible prep, wow pricing, shock and awe marketing with MLS and web syndication and all the reach you get from that. You want buyer urgency. You want a buyer feeding frenzy to take place. You want showing volume, very high showing volume, and then that showing volume should convert to multiple offers. That is how you sell a home, and that's how you get top dollar from the strongest buyer with the very, very best homes. So in 2026, if you're in the MLS, if you have decent photos, if you're on all the public buyer websites, you've got wow pricing, buyers will find you. And if a buyer wants your house, if they're working with an agent, they're going to contact their agent. And that agent, I promise you, will show that house. And if they don't, the buyer's going to go right around them and bang on your door. Happens to us every week. Hey, my agent, blah, 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 not responding. My agent said they can't get a showing set up here. We'd like to see your listing at done. I'll take care of it right now. I'll even put down my fork if I'm at lunch. Don't you worry. That agent, if they don't perform, the buyer will kick your door down to get that deal if they want it, if they want to see your house. So no broker open required. So look, I give you permission. If your agent wants to do it, it's their time, so it can't hurt. As long as you and your agent ignore all the feedback, and you don't need to appease your agent with this. You don't need to appease your neighbors with this. All your broker friends or agent friends who tell you you should be doing this, just politely thank them for the advice and then go do something else. But great prep, marketing, price, negotiations, that's what drives a successful home sale. If you do decide to do one, keep your expectations very low and strongly encourage agents. You know what? Here's some super upside. Thank you for sticking around this long. If you do host one, require all agents to post it on their social media, maybe even do a live stream from your broker open house. Now, that kind of buzz could absolutely help you because, as I said, there's no such thing as too much exposure, too much publicity when you're selling. Broker open houses, they're not evil. They're just almost entirely unnecessary unless you do it right. And sellers, don't ever confuse agent activity with results. And with that, I'm going to let you get back to your day. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you learned a little something or maybe had a little bit of fun. The Talking Realty podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Property Group, a family-owned company where we sell homes for a low, flat fee. If you've got a question, you've got a guest or a topic that you'd like to see in a future episode, I would love to hear from you. Just head to talkingrealty.com and say hello. Until next time, keep making smart moves in your real estate journey. For the Ohio Property Group, this is Glen signing off. And remember, you can sell it. We can help.